You want the truth? Most New Year's resolutions fail, and marriage resolutions, they're no exception. Every January, married couples promise each other to do all the things, communicate better, fight less, to have more sex or have more non-sexual affection if you're in that camp, do all the things. And guess what? By February, most of it is gone. Not because married couples like you don't care, but because they're trying to add more to a marriage that's already stretched thin as it is. I've been married myself for almost 2 decades, and I coach couples for a living. So when I say I've seen a thing or two, I'm not just saying it. And here's what I know for a fact. Married couples who actually grow closer are not necessarily doing more. They are doing less of what isn't working, but most people don't notice. So instead of giving you another to-do list for your marriage this year, this is a list that no one's given you ever, probably. The things not to do in your marriage this January, or this year for that matter. 13 mistakes that emotionally intelligent couples stop making on purpose, and why letting go of these matters more than trying harder. Now, a couple of these might be a bit more obvious. A few are definitely sneaky, and there's one of them that's likely something that you've been calling being patient when it's really not. Here's the first thing not to do in your marriage in 2026. Don't try to fix everything at once. Every January, like clockwork, couples show up with this long list of things. We want to be able to communicate better. We want to fight less. We want to have more sex. We want to be more intentional. We want to go on more dates. We want to pay more attention to one another. We want to ... And it sounds like a lot of motivation, but it's actually a setup. Because when you try to fix everything, guess what happens? You end up fixing nothing. Emotionally intelligent couples understand this. Progress, that doesn't come from intensity. Progress comes from consistency. They pick one habit, one pattern, one place where effort actually moves the needle, and they stop pretending that exhaustion plus ambition equals change. I cannot tell you how many couples tell me, but Danka, this year's going to be different. And then they immediately overwhelm themselves. And what happens is so predictable. Life keeps lifing. It keeps doing its thing. And by week 2 or 3 or 4 at the most, they feel like they failed. Not because their marriage is broken, but because their plan was unrealistic to begin with. This is what I've told couples like this in the past. I won't let them work on or concentrate on more than 10 or 12 things, over the course of the entire year, right? Not in January. We do 1 thing a month. Or at the most, we work on 2 things every 2 months, because we don't want this to be some fleeting moment of success. We want it to be long-term, predictable, growing closer together. Here's another thing not to do in your marriage in 2026. Don't take your spouse for granted. And here's what I mean. I don't say thank you to my husband because I have to or because he demands it. I say thank you to him because I'm aware of the effort, I'm aware of the time and the energy that it takes to do the thing that he is doing. It's not that I can't do those things by myself or for myself. It's that I genuinely see what he's doing, and I want him to know that it matters. Whether it's making dinner for the family, or shoveling the driveway for the 5th time this week, or driving the kids somewhere when they're totally crabby, saying thank you is my way of letting him know that his efforts are not invisible. It's about making sure that he feels seen and appreciated so that he never feels taken for granted. Because feeling taken for granted sucks. It's one of the fastest ways to erode the connection between the two of you. And I know that from experience, and not just with my husband, even in other relationships. When the good stuff goes unacknowledged, it quietly disappears. So in your marriage, if you have that impulse to say something kind, to notice something out loud, say the words, do the actual talking, do it. Because what gets acknowledged gets repeated. What gets ignored slowly fades away, and we don't want that. Here's another mistake emotionally intelligent couples stop making. They don't wait for their spouse to notice first. If something feels off, they don't sit in silence. They don't wait for resentment to justify the conversation. They don't call avoidance being patient. They speak sooner, not necessarily louder. Because waiting doesn't protect the relationship. It actually quietly destroys it. So remember this, initiation is not confrontation. It's leadership. It's taking the first step with love. It's you starting the trek toward us better together. Why would you wait? And the reality is, just because you feel it in every fiber of your body and it seems super obvious to you, that doesn't mean that your spouse automatically does too. So while they are blissfully unaware, you're not doing anybody any favors by keeping it to yourself and waiting for them to start the conversation. There is no initiation police that's coming around to call you out. You've brought up too much now. You're past your limit. That's not a thing. So if there's something off and you're feeling it and it's obvious to you this coming year, just bring it up. Here's another thing emotionally intelligent couples do differently. They don't assume that just talking about something will make it happen. You can talk about date nights for months. You can talk about getting help for years. You can talk about needing more connection for decades. But if it's not scheduled, if it's not assigned, if no one owns it, it's not real. Conversation creates awareness, but structure and execution create the change. And couples who thrive in their marriages stop confusing those two. I have seen this so many times. Married couples will agree that date night is important, right? Time alone together. But nothing happens because each person quietly assumes that the other person will make it real. The conversation creates hope and hype, but then the hope quietly fades away when no one takes ownership, with no one making a move. So one simple thing that I tell my couples is this: put a name next to it. If you want to have a date night, decide who is in charge of making it happen this week. And then take turns or divide it by months. There's not just one right way to do this, but you want to have clarity. When one person knows, they're the ones to pick the restaurant or to make the reservation or choose the activity altogether, things actually move forward. Things actually get done. And let me share a quick story. I had a couple in my office here recently, married almost 20 years. When I asked them, as I often do, when the last time was that they've taken a trip together, they could only remember the honeymoon, maybe one other overnight for an anniversary or something. They'd talk about taking a vacation every few months, but they'd never actually do it. And on top of that, and this is not all that uncommon, because they've had infertility issues for years, once they had kids, they felt so guilty leaving them with someone else. Other times they were worried about the logistics, and the years just slipped by. So this year, whatever you do, please don't just talk in circles. If you've been discussing something for years, literally, make it a thing. Put it on the calendar, make it real, make it happen. Because talking about it isn't going to make it happen. Turning it into a concrete plan will. My 2 cents, time that you two are going to spend together away with each other, it will not only benefit the two of you, it will benefit your kids, it will benefit your family immensely. And I'm not just saying that. If you've ever done this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Tell me how you two have done this. Leave me a note in the comments below. I can't wait to read it. Number 5, don't be a generalist. Wait, what? What's a generalist? What does that mean? Don't be a generalist when you say thank you. Thanks for everything. You're such a great spouse. You're an awesome mom. While those sound safe, they don't land. Because appreciation in a marriage isn't about being polite necessarily. And that's why emotionally intelligent couples know to stop using blanket compliments. It's about being seen, really seen. If you were to ask me, tell me how I am being a great mom or an awesome wife. Specific appreciation tells your spouse, I am seeing you do the specific things that you do all of them, but one by one. I watched you change that baby's diaper and clothes 5 times in the span of 2.5 hours while they were getting sick and vomited all over everything. And you did it with such patience. I've never seen that before. And you were not cranky about it. You were not upset with the baby or the situation, even though you're running on just a couple hours of sleep. That's amazing. Don't tell me you appreciate everything that I do. Spell it out like that. It's 2026, people. We can do better. And I'm calling myself out as much as I'm calling you out. We can start being specific. Even though the larger message may be, I notice you, I am paying attention, or what you do matters. When you add to that cover blanket compliment some originality, some depth, something specific, it just lands different. It lands better. And when people feel seen, and I mean really seen and appreciated, guess what happens? They stay engaged and they want to do it again and again, and they will. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. Trust me on that one. Point number 6, don't turn your marriage into a complaint-only zone. Here's the truth most couples don't realize. If the only time that you talk about your relationship is when something is wrong, your entire marriage starts to feel heavy, incredibly tense, and exhausting, even when nothing is technically bad, quote unquote, right? Over time, your spouse learns that silence is what means everything's fine. Conversation means there's trouble. And that's not safety, that's conditioning. Healthy marriages don't just correct what's wrong. They also name what's working out loud in real time. You don't want to be that couple where your husband tells you, with me in the room, I don't ever hear you tell me I do anything right. It's always just almost or so close. Or them having the physical response of their stomach dropping or being all in knots when they hear the 4 words, we need to talk. That's what they've conditioned each other to do. No one ever says what's working. No one names any of the effort. So the relationship, your marriage, starts to feel like a problem to manage instead of a place to land. So if you want 2026 to feel different in your relationship with your spouse, this is one habit that 100% has to change. Point number 7, don't let silence be your only positive feedback. Silence isn't neutral. Emotionally intelligent couples know that silence isn't neutral. They understand that silence sends a message, even if we didn't mean it to. When effort is met with silence, motivation drops. When care is met with silence, distance grows. But it's not just with the positive stuff. It's also about the everyday emotional states that we bring home. Here's what I mean. We often do a great job telling our spouse when we're physically unwell. We walk through the door and we'll say, I've had such a bad migraine all day, I'm going to bed. Or, I didn't sleep at all last night and I feel awful. We don't let them guess if we're sick. We tell them that. But when it comes to our emotional state, we often stay silent. We assume that they will figure out that we're stressed out or that we had a rough day, and that silence can lead to confusion or even misunderstanding. They might end up thinking that we're upset with them when really we're just processing something else entirely. So this month, this year, let's make a new agreement. Don't let silence be the default. If you're coming home with something on your mind, let your spouse know. Say, hey, I'm not mad at you even though I look it. I just got off a rough call and everything is still on my mind. Or I'm still thinking about the news that I got from a buddy from college today. So if I'm quiet, that's why. By giving your spouse that little bit of context, you're not leaving them to fill in the blanks. And that's a wonderful thing. You're making sure that silence isn't misread as distance or frustration. Instead, what you're doing, you're using your words to keep the connection between the two of you strong and clear. Here's another thing not to do in your marriage this year. Don't wait for life to slow down, because it never does. It just changes forms. The busyness of life changes, the exhaustion might change, the seasons might change, but there's never a stretch of time where nothing else is happening, and then you finally have ample time for your marriage. Most couples are waiting for a better time, less chaos, more energy, fewer obligations, and that time doesn't come. It's a lot like money. Most people don't have a savings account labeled marriage help for someday. Does that surprise you? Probably not, because you don't either. They didn't slowly set aside $100 a month or $50 a month for the future. Don't worry, my husband and I didn't either. But in the same way, most couples don't have large open pockets of time just sitting there untouched, waiting to be used for the relationship. So if your marriage needs attention, give it the attention now. Not next month, not after the season is over, not when things calm down. Because if you're honest, you've already been waiting long enough. This is the year that you stop postponing your marriage and start treating it like it matters now, not later. I hear couples say this to me all the time. We'll work on this after the season is over, after the kids get older, after work calms down, after the move is over, after I get settled into my promotion. And a problem with that is there's always another season following the previous one. Waiting then becomes a habit instead of a pause. Don't be that couple. Number 9 of the things not to do in 2026 in your marriage: don't have big conversations at the wrong time. Like late at night when you're exhausted or when you've just traveled halfway across the globe. Don't do it then. Timing matters more than couples realize. Emotionally intelligent couples stop having serious conversations when they know that it's not a good time. Late nights, high stress, zero bandwidth, those moments, they don't produce clarity, they produce damage. They choose timing on purpose instead. Not because the issue isn't important, but because the relationship is. And if you're hearing this and you're thinking to yourself, I bet we're baking some... not baking. I bet we're breaking some of these rules and we don't even know it. I have an entire video dedicated to just this topic. Go watch that one after you're done watching this. I'll put a link in the description below so you can find it easily. Here's another thing not to do in your marriage in 2026. Stop living in the land of shoulds. You know the one. We should take the trip. We should do more date nights. We should talk more. We should be closer or get more help. And then you drop it. Like you just settle a bomb down between the two of you and you hope that it never explodes. Emotionally intelligent couples stop doing that. Because should is not a plan. Should is a wish wearing a responsible outfit. Hear that again. Should is a wish wearing a responsible outfit. So in 2026, when one of you says, we should do something, your next sentence should be, okay, are we doing this? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, you take the next action before that conversation even ends. For example, we should take a trip this year. Okay, great. But don't romanticize the idea for 10 minutes and then go right back to laundry or soccer practice or the dirty dishes. Take the next step. Pull out your calendars, literally. Pick 2 possible long weekends. When are the kids out of school? Whatever it may be. Throw out 2 or 3 locations that would actually be fun for the two of you. Text the babysitter. Ask your parents if that's an option. Start the conversation. And if you can't decide anything right then and there, that's okay, but you don't leave it floating. You've set a time to reconvene. Next Sunday night, we're going to choose the weekend. By the 15th of the next month, we are going to buy the tickets. We are booking the flight. Or we'll decide the hotel by Friday. Because good ideas don't fail because married couples don't care. They fail because couples like you don't close the loops. Here's what I want you to do in 2026. Stop letting the best needs in your marriage rot in the land of should. Turn it into a yes or a no, and that's fine. Leave it alone then. But if it's a yes, then take the next step. Point number 11 of the things not to do in 2026 in your marriage: Don't avoid conflict to keep the peace. Avoidance isn't peace. Did you know this? It's just tension postponed. Emotionally intelligent couples stop pretending that silence equals harmony. They understand that unspoken issues, they don't disappear. They just harden over time. And I've seen this in my own life. I am a middle child, so by nature I'm a bit of a peacekeeper and a recovering people pleaser. Even over this last Christmas season, I noticed myself doing the exact same thing with our girls. There were moments where I would think, oh, but I should say something, but I don't want to start a thing. I don't want to ruin this day. So I just let something slide. But the problem is, every time that I did that, I was adding another little piece of tension to the pile. And eventually, guess what? It wasn't just about the girls. It was about me being frustrated with myself for not having spoken up sooner. It's the same thing in marriage. When we avoid those small conflicts to keep the peace, on the surface, we're not really saying no to conflict. We're just postponing it. And eventually, all of those little things can turn into a bigger blowout or that feeling of hitting a wall at the worst possible time. So in 2026, let's stop pretending that silence is harmony. Let's address things while they're still workable so that we can actually enjoy those family moments and those marriage moments without that hidden layer of tension. Are you in? Drop a hand raised emoji in the comments. I want to see it. I want to know that I'm not alone. Number 12, don't let technology eat your connection. Connection doesn't disappear all at once. It erodes in micro moments. And in 2026, emotionally intelligent couples notice how often technology interrupts presence. I'll give you an example from my family. In our kids' school, they have a basket at the door where in every single classroom where students drop their phones in there so that they can be fully present for school. Now, I'm not saying you need a phone basket in your kitchen, but maybe. But I've seen a similar pattern in our own home and marriage. We all got AirPods a few years ago, and slowly but surely everyone started using them a lot. It got to the point where we'd be cooking together in the kitchen or doing dishes, cooking, and somebody was working on their homework, what have you. And instead of talking to each other, we would all be in our own little audio worlds. YouTube, podcast, music, right there next to each other, but not really with each other. It's not about never using technology. Don't hear me saying that. But it's about noticing when those little moments of connection get replaced by screens or earbuds and choosing, at least sometimes, to be present with each other instead. Number 13, don't let resentment sit unnamed. Resentment, once you know, never stays quiet. Emotionally intelligent couples stop letting it accumulate in the background. They know that resentment always collects interest, and not the good kind, right? And the longer it sits, the harder it is to unwind. They name it early, they deal with it while it's still soft, because unspoken resentment doesn't make a marriage stronger. It makes it colder, it makes the distance between the two of you grow to no end. Ask me how I know. A few years back, I learned this phrase from a colleague, Dr. Deloney, and I offered it to my clients countless times since. Choose guilt over resentment every time. Feel free to memorize it and use it in your own marriage. Because here's the thing, resentment rarely starts with something dramatic. It starts small. It's a comment that was not addressed. It's a need that was postponed, or an effort that perhaps went completely unnoticed. But over time, those small things, they stack up. And one day, a couple married to each other for decades realizes they don't feel close anymore. Not because of one big event, but because too many little things were left unnamed. So if I can help it, let's not have that be you. Now, no matter what you might have heard before, marriage isn't hard because you're doing something wrong. It's hard because it matters, and it's hard because it's two imperfect people, the two of you, my husband and I, under the same roof, trying to be better together, often with absolutely no guide in hand. And know this, emotionally intelligent couples, they don't have perfect marriages. If you're one of those, you can back me up. Give me a raised hand in the comments below. They're just willing to pay attention to this do not do this list because they know that there are things that are quietly pulling them apart. Even if just one of these points stood out to you, don't brush that off. That awareness is how change actually starts. Go get your spouse, watch it together, see if they agree. I'm not asking you to fix all 13 things today. Pick one or two at most that matter the most and focus on those two for the first 2 months of this year. Then come back at the beginning of March, pick another thing off the list, and go from there. Remember, this is not a race, it's a guide. Now, if you found this helpful, I have an entire playlist on how to improve your communication and have better conversations with your spouse, starting with the time, meaning when not to talk. It's the one that I mentioned before. I'll link the video on the screen. Watch that next and combine these two insightful videos to really transform your marriage and change how you two engage with one another, not just now, for good.